Welcome to the SAP ALM Summit EMEA 2021. So my name is Zhan Lu. I'm a product owner of real use monitoring of SAP Cloud ALM for operations. So I think in the last 2 days, you may have learned quite a lot about SAP Cloud ALM. In this session, I will show you a little bit deeper in the real use monitoring. Actually, before my current position as a product owner for the risk monitoring, I worked also several years for different SAP cloud solutions as customer success manager or customer engagement executive with customer focus as customer facing role. I know also the pain point from many customers, especially the cloud customers. They cannot identify the performance issue since the performance data by each end user is missing. So I'm pretty sure that real monitoring will help customer in such a case with real-time performance data and find out where the poor performance occurs and implement the optimization accordingly. So you may step in this slides many times. I think as standard, the content in this session also aligned with SAP legal disclaimer. You can raise your questions in the Q&A channel, as mentioned just now during my presentation. We will also leave some time, if possible, at the end of this session for some live Q&A. Additionally, we scheduled also meet the expert session this afternoon. So for the questions, I will encourage you to join this session also. So agenda for today. So firstly, I will give you a short overview and scope and benefits of the real monitoring. Now explain very shortly how does it work, how to measure and assemble the performance data in the real monitoring. Then I'll show you also the usage, how the pages look like in real monitoring, and give you a short time demo in the live system afterwards. So what is realized actually or is provided in the real monitoring? Firstly, the transparency of the performance by the end user, and also the utilization of the big business functionalities. Means the measurement both by front end, also back end, and also we utilize the SAP Passport technology, which allows to correlate the measured data and also of each component within one single request, one single execution. So how about benefits? So from the real monitoring, you will know the response time by end user and also the usage, which means which application are most usually by the end user. And with such a transparent and performance data, you can identify the single request with poor performance easily, and also can review the execution frequency of a specific application or function, which is most used by end user. And also with correlation of all components of a single request, single execution, you can access the request flow and analyze the resource consumption of each sub-request times spent by each component. And real monitoring, we also provide some flexibility to customize your request type and filter the performance data by different dimensions. So about the scope, we collect the data for the following request types: SAP UI5, Fiori, Fiori and SAP Web Pro, SAP GUI for HTML, and HTTPS. We are not perfect so far, so yeah, it's not connect to all the SAP solutions. So the following business solutions already supported: SAP BTP above environment, Business Suite, SAP Marketing Cloud, SAP IBP, Integrated Business Planning for Supply Chain, SAP S/4HANA for sure, and also S/4HANA Cloud and S/4HANA Private Cloud Edition. So in the near future, we have already planned to include more and more SAP solutions in the previous monitoring of SAP Cloud ALM. So how does it work? The performance experienced by the end user, so will be measured on the client end by browser or SAP GUI. On system and server side, the statistics records collected automatically and transferred to SAP Cloud ALM. Then the Cloud ALM will assemble and correlate the data to end-to-end real user scenario, real user execution. And also the SAP Passport technology works as correlator to identify the sub-request components within one single execution. So how can we start to use it? First step, for sure, you need provisioning and also onboard the users. And for the risk monitoring, you need also configure the push data provider for the managed above system or public cloud services. And by the push data provider setup, you need also select the performance monitoring in the use case. And no further additional setup is required here. No data additional injection via plugin or any other agent on the front end device is necessary. So I think you may have also learned from the setup session yesterday. Today I will focus mainly on the functionalities, not the setup here. So let me introduce also the pages and how to work in the risk monitoring. Firstly, the overview page, which is a landing page after you click the risk monitoring. So it consists of two parts: the performance overview and also the favorites area. In the up part, so it's a performance overview. Each card here display the performance metrics of one select service or system here. In the scope selection, you can also and also time frame selection, you can select the service you want to monitor and also in specific time frame. In the fifth area, the user can click the favorite button, which shows as a start button on the page if it's available. Then you can save this page as a favorite, later displayed on also here in the landing page in this area. So actually we implement this overview page nearly in Q3 this year. So also introduce the new performance metrics, which is the AppDex, Application Performance Index rating, which is actually an open standard developed for measuring the performance of applications. It is a weighted average of counts with weights 1 as satisfied, 0.5 as tolerating, and 0 as frustrated. You can get more information in the in-app help of the overview page here, and also the wiki page from the public resource. For each card here, the color of the laptop frame corresponds to the average AppDex rating of the select service and 3 most critical request type also displayed in the card. When you click the overview page, you can drill down to the details, further information in the request overview. As mentioned from the overview page, we usually can navigate from the overview to the request view by clicking the service name or the service or the request type. Here you can see by each entry, you see the status, request name, response time, number of the executions, and also number of the users. With this data, actually, you can easily find the requests with poor performance or high usage. The table by default is sorted with the most critical, I'll say the red executions here. A user can also adjust the sort order by just easily clicking the head of the column. You can also use a filter to filter the performance data. So when we click the request name or the arrow here, you go to the next level, drill down. Here you can see the user actions of the selected request name. From the suffix maybe of the action here, you may read the information and find whether a button was clicked or which item also select here, which action are executed. And click the name of the action and the arrow here. We go to the next further level. Here, every entry represents one execution with response time and also the net time and its percentage, which can give you some first insights of the time distribution, time consumption. So click one of the execution time here or the arrow. Again, we come to now the deepest drill down level of the request view, so which display request flow with all components and time consumption of each. The selected execution here with blue box with a blue border. The other boxes are request triggered by this action either in cloud service or in backend system. So in the head here of each box, the service name, request type, and also net time percentage is displayed. Further information such as browser and OS version and round trip numbers and server round trip time and so on, network time are displayed in the box. So I will show you more details later in the demo. So as I mentioned, the reuse monitoring, we also provide some further functions or options like analysis view, front end view with more flexibility. So in analysis view, the user could select metrics flexibly, such as response time, backend time, network time, as they need. And also we have some other dimensions such as a request name, a request type, and a username. You can specify your analysis. In the front end view, the most important front end usage and the performance are displayed here. Could be switched between a visualized chart or a table. The column here stands for the execution numbers. Those 3 different colors here in different colors display the end user time, network time, and also backend time in the corresponding time period. So the performance data could also be filled. For example, you can fill it with request name or username for your analysis. It is now also very convenient to navigate directly from the front end view to the request view to drill down further details. So I'll also show you later in the demo. Now I will firstly stop the presentation, go to the system. Now we log in the SAP Cloud ALM. So you need at least real user analyst role to access the real user monitoring. I will click the real user monitoring. So we come to the overview page here. When you click the toggle navigation, you can see which pages are available in the real user monitoring, which is the home page, overview page, request view, analysis view, from end view, service view. It's actually an older overview page. You can also create your custom page as you need. So as I mentioned here, each card displays the status of the select services. When you visit the real user monitoring first time, so you need also select select service in the scope selector here. When you click the scope selector, or the filter can help you find the service which you want to monitor here. Click go, you see the service available in the list. In this case, I will choose my S4 perform. And you can also use the time frame selector to define your time period. You can use a predefined here, or you can also define your own time frame, for example, 2 months. And it's also easy. It's also possible to even define the time frame exactly in the calendar. Here we choose the last week. Yes, the head of the box display the service type and service name with description. The left frame, as I mentioned, display the average of the app depth of all requests of the service in the corresponding period, and the 3 most critical request type are displayed in the card here. The favorite area, you can also save your favorite page to be displayed here. When I click the overview page, either by the service name or request type, you will navigate to the request view here. So you can see the request name, each entry here displays the request name, request type, also the status and execution number, average response time, and also how many users are executed. So by clicking the request name, sorry, maybe I also need to mention that you can also use a filter. For example, if you want to check the state, check the request of yesterday, in this case of service my S4 perform, and request type. When I check the Fiori application, use SAP UI5. The Fiori application always with the Fiori ID, and if the user has real analyst sensitive role or administrator role, you can also check the request according to the specific username. Now we see all the Fiori application executive last, and when we click the request name or the arrow on the right hand here, you will go to the next level. All the custom actions are listed in the next level, and when we click the action name, and also the arrow of on the right hand end, we'll go to the next level, which display all the executions in the corresponding period. So we see here there are some red executions. We may find out some performance issue. So click the execution time of one of this. We come to the deepest drill down level of the request view. Yeah, this blue box, it's selected execution. The others are the requests triggered by this action, either in cloud service or in the backend system. So the head of this box displays here the service name, request type, and also the percentage of net time of the total response time. And in the box, you can also see the response time, total response time of this request, and net time if it's a browser-based request, also including browser version, OS version, the number of the run chip, server run chip time, and so on. So if you need further information, you can also click the not details here. You will get more information, like also of the consumption of the CPU, and also if it's a on-premise system, you will also see some CPU and also DB time, and also the correlator like transaction ID, etc. So the same also for the other boxes here. In this case, I would say the request view help us identify the performance issue occurs by the front end, because it's already more than 90% response time consumed by the first level by the front end. So as I mentioned, we have also the analysis view. So just let's make example. We want to check so which also the Fiori application was mostly executed by in the last week. So we choose a time frame last week because it's time independent result. We don't need the resolution, leave it in no time buckets. The service my S4 platform, and request name, request type as UI5, and so the request name with F. So we want to check the executions here. Then we know which application yesterday was mostly used and how many times. If you need the data for further analysis, you can also export to a spreadsheet. And also the front end view, as I mentioned, we have the most important three front end request type, which is SAP UI5, WebDimpro, and WebGUI. You can choose the request type you want to analyze. In this case, I'll make example again the last week. Resolution with our service, my S4 platform. Also request type SAP UI5. So if you want to also check the performance by a single end user, you can also enter the username here. So here we have the front end view of last week of the Fiori application, and the columns here stand for the number of the executions. Also, the three curves here stand for the differently end user time, network time, and also backend time. So if you want to check more details, for example, I saw there's quite high end user time. This point, I can click here. Now I'm navigate to the request view for further information. Could be drilled down, and which help us to find out the performance issue. And if you like, for example, such a result will be also used in the future, you can also save this result as your custom page. Click the custom page here. Click the plus icon here. Then you can check the page you need, for example, the front end view, and drop it in the page here, and maybe give the name of the page, always the front end view last week, and define the filter. And save it. Then your custom page now is available in the navigation bar. That's all for the demo from my side. Now we come back to the presentation. So I also provide here some useful links to help you start or use the real monitoring. For sure, if you have any questions, you can also contact us directly even, and from the different portal, and you will also find useful information to get started with real monitoring. Thanks for your attention. Now we may come to the Q&A session. Is there any questions? Yeah, a customer of mine use BTP to develop and run Fiori application, and they want to monitor its performance. Can CALM user monitoring provide end-to-end monitoring data and login data of application UI5 fronted gateway backend service connection, and etc. Maybe in general, I would say, as I mentioned, BTP above environment is now available. And if the customer and BTP Neo will also provide by end of this year. And BTP Cloud Foundry is now in the plan, but we don't have the exact schedule so far. If the customer use BTP Neo, I will ask you also to contact us. We may test it together. Any further questions? Okay. Now I have the following question here in the chat. They use CF Cloud Foundry. Yes, you're right. So far it's not possible, but I think that will be our next step, because we have more and more customers now move to Cloud Foundry. But anyway, we have also the Meet the Activist session this afternoon. Yeah, if there's no more further questions, yeah, I think we can close the recording and close session. So I expect maybe some further questions also by the Meet the Activist session this afternoon.